Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the Sebastian Scales Show. It is December 13th, 2021, and it's chilly. I've got a candle here. I'm wearing a hat, a beanie indoors. I've just been getting out of the shower and taking a hairdryer to my entire body. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I would take a hairdryer, and when it got cold outside, and inside, when it got cold out, I would take a hairdryer and like dry my pillows and clothes and then put them on and then lay on the pillow. And it would just be like this blanket of heat that made me feel cozy and safe. Massive waste of electricity, but just so comforting and cozy. And so yeah, I've been reliving some childhood memories by taking hair dryers to my face and body. So things are going well. I hope you're all having a wonderful holiday. I'm trying to not want things to be any different at any moment and to just allow every feeling to be without any need for them to be different. Feelings are roadmaps and pointers and signposts to what's really going on inside of ourselves. And oftentimes the feelings that we really don't want to feel are the ones that are showing us what we need to heal. So I've been trying to just feel it all, man, woman, feel it all. I'm trying to not resist anymore. And even the most extreme situations, like even pain. Like today I was at the gym and I absolutely just slammed a weight down on my finger, like sandwiched it between two weights. And can't really see it. It's not, clearly it's fine now. But in the moment I was like, oh my God, like I don't really know why, but I decided to just like feel it for a second, because immediately what went into my head, it's like even the pain happens and then immediately my brain's like, oh my God, everybody just saw you drop this weight on your finger. And it's like, like what even is that? Who cares? Like there's actual real danger, pain. There's real pain happening. And my brain's still like, but the real danger is in what people think about you and how people just saw you drop this weight on your finger like an idiot. Nobody's looking at you like that. These people are living their lives. Everyone at the gym has their own life. And like, let's take that to its extreme. I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast before, but I'm taking thoughts to their extreme now. So if a thought pops into my head like, oh my God, people just saw me drop a weight on my finger, I look so dumb. Let's take that thought to its extreme. If every person in the gym saw me do that and thought to themselves, that guy is an idiot, still nothing changes in my reality. It doesn't have to. Which is what our brains are trying to do. Where they're trying to, it's trying to protect me in this moment from embarrassment and getting kicked out of the tribe and all of those things. But even if we take this thought to its extreme, it doesn't matter. All of these people will move on with their day. They're not going to attack me because I hurt my finger, because now I'm weak and vulnerable and it's an opportunity to attack. Like that would be operating under the assumption that all of these people already wanted to hurt me and kill me and kick me out, which is kind of what our brains do. They trip out and assume that everyone's out to get us. So it's helpful to take these thoughts to their extreme and then see like, okay, like even in the worst case scenario, nothing changes. Also just like the audacity to assume that that's what everybody wants to do with their time. That these people who are having a workout in, dealing with their own anxieties and the fact that they're alive on Earth and existential thoughts that they may be having, or things that they're doing at work, problems that they have. There are infinite things, once again, that they can be thinking about, but our brains are like, nope, they're thinking about you and it's bad. Not once in my life have I seen somebody drop a weight and thought that I hate that person. It's like when you're walking on a street and you trip and fall and you assume that everybody around you just hates you now and is laughing at you. But when you see somebody like trip and fall on the street, you never think that. Sometimes you think, wow, thank God that's not me. But you don't think those thoughts. So why assume that everyone else is? Why assume that everyone else is? I think the last time I saw somebody trip and fall on the street, I remember thinking to myself, like, I hope that they don't think that I think negatively about them for this. I hope they're not embarrassed, because this doesn't matter to me, and I hope it doesn't matter to them. But because I know how my brain works, I know that it's possible that they were worrying about what I thought about them in that moment. So now I'm worrying about what they might be worrying I'm thinking about them. It's crazy. It's endless if you want it to be. So anyway, smashed my finger, and it is completely okay now. Nobody said anything to me at the gym, and I just kind of felt the pain. And I noticed that thought as well. That was but being aware, I actually used pain as a tool in that moment to come back again into what's actually happening. Because instead of just getting wrapped up in the thought, it was like, here's a feeling that I can fixate on and really go into this feeling without resisting it. And I just felt it for a little while. I took a break, I don't know, a 30-second break, and then it was okay. And it highlighted this concept that I learned a lot about during the meditation retreats that I've been on, where it's like the physical sensations that we have are extremely helpful to put your attention on, because it allows you to remember that there are more things going on than we register a lot of the time when we're wrapped up in the world of thought. So even the worst thing, a lot of people would perceive pain to be the worst thing that could happen. It was a small pain, but it was pain, and it was subtle. And that's another thing that these retreats have allowed me to experience, is that the subtlest sensations have that ability. And you don't have to break your arm to come back into the now. Just drop a weight on your finger, you'll be fine. But it was cool. I didn't resist it. And that lack of resistance allowed for this space that sort of just, it was like I saw the fork in the road. I could have easily gone down this embarrassment road, and did for a second, but decided to come back to reality. And in that moment, what I was experiencing was pain. And then from that, I went from feeling pain, it went away, and then I started working out again and was like really focusing on the flexing of my muscles and just sort of being with that, not trying to get done as quickly as possible, but like really focusing on the motion. And it just highlighted that you don't need anything to happen to come back to what's happening, because it's already happening. There's nothing that you have to do. It requires no effort, just a redirecting of attention. So that was cool. And how did I get here? I'm not sure. Going with it. So I had friends come this weekend. I had one friend who was staying at our place for about a week, and another friend who was coming in for the weekend. They were going to overlap and stay here. And my roommate was gone. And I've talked about this on the podcast before, but I'm generally pretty resistant to people coming and staying for extended periods of time. Not because of the person at all. It's just because I know as I get older that I need alone time. And I still have a hard time saying no to people, especially if I don't have what in my head feels like a real reason. Like if somebody asks me to hang out or asks me what I'm up to, and I feel like me saying like, no, I'm going to go to the beach alone will somehow hurt their feelings. And again, it's trying to like micromanage the world and make sure everybody feels okay. But what ends up happening is I start not prioritizing myself and prioritizing other people. And then the version of me that shows up at these hangouts that people invited me to that I didn't really want to go to isn't somebody that they want to be around anyway. So I'm like doing a disservice to both of the people involved, myself and the other person, by not prioritizing myself. So I'm trying to be better about that. And these two people who were staying with me, I'm like really comfortable with both of them. And I felt the feelings popping up when they were trying to plan out like the amount of time that they should stay for, and is this imposing and things like that. And I felt it. And once again, just like, cool, an opportunity to feel more. You don't need to be afraid of that. Feel it. It's there for a reason. And I sat with it and just sort of was like, remembered that these people are not going to hate me if I don't spend every waking moment with them. If I need time alone, I can say that. It took a while to realize that. So I just sort of was like, yeah, like, whenever works. So one of them was looking for a place down in LA. So he came and got in, and it was great. We were hanging out. And the other one came in on Thursday, and sitting with that feeling of resistance that I had initially to these guys coming to visit, I sort of realized that part of it for sure was that I had a stand-up show that Thursday, and I knew that they would want to go, and I wouldn't be able to hide it from them, And, it's not that I don't like people coming to shows. It's just that if you have a stand-up show and you bomb, it's a lot better to bomb in front of people that you don't know, because you can just leave. It's hard to bomb and then hang out with a bunch of people who just saw you bomb. So I think that was part of the resistance that I was feeling too. And then I remembered, like, what is your plan to never have anyone that you know so you do stand up? So many people already have. It's just a lingering feeling of like an avoidance of embarrassment. The same embarrassment that I was worried about at the gym and falling over, tripping on the sidewalk. I'm not going to operate like that anymore. I'm not going to make decisions based off of avoiding embarrassment. God forbid I have people that support me at my shows who know me. So they both came and they went to the show, and the show was wild. Talking about going with the flow of things. So I was doing molestation material, and I was about halfway through my set, and this guy got up to go to the bathroom or something, and for some reason he just was leaving right on a punchline, and what popped into my head was that guy probably got molested too. And I said that for some reason, and it got a mediocre laugh. And then I continued with my set, and then he walked back in like 3 minutes later, and he was holding 3 drinks like this, and he had 2 drinks, and he kind of like walked up to me, and I was like, oh, like, no worries, man. Like, you can just, I thought he was like waiting for like a good time to like cross the stage or whatever. But then he was like, no, this shot is for you. And I'm like on stage doing stand up. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, I got this for you. And I was like, why? And he was like, I got molested too. And I was like, what? No way. Like, it was such a overwhelming feeling of like, 1, this guy just got me a shot, super nice. 2, he just told me and the whole audience that he got molested too, which is incredible. 3, I was right, despite totally randomly guessing. He did get molested. And so I started talking to him about it just on stage. Like, I totally paused my set, and there was definitely a part of me that felt like I should continue with my set. But then I was like, that's just trying to make things go the way that you think they need to go for you to be okay. Like, go with this amazing opportunity. Somebody just bought you a shot because they got molested. Talk to them. And so I asked him his name. He said it was Diego. And then I took the shot, and I started, chatting with him a little bit, and he was super cool, and it was like a funny interaction. And then at one point I was like, did anybody else, like, while we're at it, Did anyone else get molested? And this comic who had gone right before me, who talked about getting raped, it wasn't like a trauma-specific show. It just happened to be the case. And she like put her hand up and she was like, well, I got raped and nobody bought me a shot. And then everybody laughed. And then I was like, you had your time, Nicole. Not in a malicious way. I just thought it was a funny thing to say in the moment. And it worked. And then I kept talking to Diego. And he was just like so funny and spontaneous about it. And it ended up being like a 3-minute funny conversation in the middle of a stand-up set. And that never would have happened if I had let the part of me that wanted to control the situation take control. It was like a total let go. I don't know who this guy is. He's like willing to chat about it while I'm on stage. And it was crazy because like when you step into that space that's like, wow, anything could happen here, your brain gets quieter. Like I noticed I wasn't trying to find punchlines really or trying to get to a laugh. I was just genuinely interested in how we got to this moment. And it was also my first time taking a shot on stage, which was fun too. But it was just so cool and it felt so purposeful because people will often come up to me after shows and tell me that they got molested. And not that that's like I just said that like it's a bad thing. No, it's amazing. But I had just never had somebody do it while I was on stage before and then engage with me still after that. And it was just this incredible thing. And I eventually continued with my set and it was a really solid set. It felt so freeing on stage. I didn't know what was going to happen and it worked out better than I could have imagined. Feel free to lean into that, me and everyone. I didn't try to control any part of it and just followed the feeling. It was interesting and that was enough of a reason. And you know, after all of that, how cool to have my friends see that show. I'm thinking about this now, like that worry about like, what if I bomb and then have to hang out with them? Like that's assuming that, and of course you always might bomb, but just believe in yourself a little bit more. At the very least, you've got 2 people in the audience who are going to be so down to laugh at your jokes because they love you. So it's just not something that I need to be afraid of anymore. And, yeah, it's okay. So anyway, awesome experience. And there were some other comic friends that I had at that show, and another friend came too. It was just like this dope audience, and everyone got to see me do this like sweet crowd work interaction that never would have happened if I had prioritized avoiding fear and embarrassment. So anyway, after that, I was just so hyped. Still am. Honestly, it's Monday, but phew, that was tight. And I tried to find Diego after the show, but I couldn't find him. So, Diego, if you ever see this, hit me up, man. So anyway, that was Thursday night, and after that, we just had an absolute weekend. We went out and got dinner. And it's funny, like as you get older, like the conversations morph so much from like what may have been, I mean, I don't even remember what we used to talk about, but we had this dinner that was just a full-blown psychoanalysis of the 3 of us. We were all psychoanalyzing each other and ourselves simultaneously. And we were just, it was so cool. And we were like learning all this stuff about each other. And it was just like, it just fired me up to think that like, I don't know, not that our priorities are changing, but like that rather than like going out as being a means to an end, whether that's like to get laid or which is the thing a lot of the time, not needing to get to a different moment, like just in that dinner, not worrying about what's going to happen next, but just being there with these guys. And it made for just this incredible conversation. So we went out and we went to a bar. The line was too long. We eventually got in, and then there was a cover to go down to the cool part of the bar. So we said, fuck it. So we decided to go to a different bar, and it was a gay bar. And we got in, didn't realize it was a gay bar, but you could tell pretty much immediately. We walked in, got to the dance floor, and within 30 seconds, this dude, I was like dancing with my friends, and this dude like came up to me and started like petting my chest. And we're dancing and stuff, but this was clear and deliberate what this guy was doing. And so I kind of like laughed, and he was with a very attractive girl, and he sort of did that, and they were both looking at me, and then they were like kind of laughing, and then I was like kind of laughing, but also like, turned away, trying to express my lack of interest. And we kept dancing some more, and then he came up and did it again, but this time it was like a little bit more intense. It was like a pat and hold, kind of like grabbed me. And I looked at him and I was like, hey, feel free to use your words. Like, I don't even know you. Who are you? We have not spoken yet. You're just touching me without any interaction other than that. And he was like obviously pretty drunk, and he looked really young. And and then the girl who he was dancing with was like, yeah, like use your words. Come on. And she was like encouraging him to communicate with me before touching me. And he was still like kind of drunk and was like not really responding that well to this. So kept dancing, went over. I've been doing this thing where I go out to bars now, and I'll just get water. Like I'll smoke some weed before I go out, and then just have water all night. And I wake up feeling so good. And I know it's not for everybody. A lot of people would not want to be high out, but for some reason it just like really does the trick for me. And I'm trying to drink less, and it's just it's like I just hydrate all night. Take a couple of puffs and then just hydrate, and it's like it's been working. So we went over, got some water, and went back to the dance floor after a little bit. And this guy came up to me and just like, fully grabbed my boob. And I like, turned to him and I was like, all right, dude, this is not like, stop this. Like if I was doing this to her, and I pointed at his friend, I was like, it would be totally not cool. And that was like, I was pretty happy with how that moment went. I could see him realize in the moment, even though he was drunk, that like that actually makes a lot of sense. And he's behaving to me in a way that if I behaved to his friend, I would be in jail, potentially. So he was like, sorry, dude, I didn't like, sorry. He started apologizing a bunch. I was like, it's nothing personal. I'm just interested in your friend. And at this point, she and I haven't really interacted much, but it was, and she might have thought that I assume she thought that I was gay up until that point. And that sparked a conversation between the two of us. And we started chatting a bunch and like had some really good conversation while her friend was dancing there. And eventually she and her friend like went away for we didn't like say bye. We just like kept dancing. And then eventually her and her friend ran off. And rather than trying to like go after her and try to like force a number exchange, or force the conversation to continue, it just didn't even cross my mind. I was like, oh, that was fun. That was the extent of it. It was just like, that was a cool conversation that we just had. I didn't need anything else from her. Like, yeah, she was very cute and I enjoyed the conversation, but I just immediately went back to dancing with my friends. And I think an older version of me would have been, wait, no, where are you going, And it would have been very reasonable to ask her, but I didn't trip about it. So we were at the bar for another 45 minutes or so, just hanging out, kicking it. And then eventually she and her friend came back up to me and she was like, hey, we're going to leave, but I feel like I should give you my number. And I was like, totally. And it just felt so good to like let go of any expectation, any need for something to happen with this lady, and just allow what is. And she just came back without any effort. this gay guy hitting on me ended up in his attractive female friend giving me her number. And it was just dope. It was so dope. So I've been trying to go along with that more so. Oh, has this been out of focus the whole time? I hope not. Well, hello, if it has been. I was thinking about this when we were walking back. We eventually left the bar, and I was just thinking, like, it can be like this all the time. We never have to force. We never have to control anything. We're already, like, doing all of this amazing stuff as our physical being and mental being, beating our hearts, breathing, circulating our blood, all of our senses just working flawlessly, all of our body parts, our mind, although it gets anxious, it's still a miracle. We're already doing all of these things all the time without any conscious effort or control. So what happens if we continue to let go of that control and just allow? How does the universe respond to us letting go of control? The more I let go, the more I realize that it responds pretty positively. Because all of a sudden you're at this place where you don't need anything. You feel okay. And then when you start to feel differently, that once again becomes an opportunity to come back to now, which is where you are anyway. You always have been, and you always will be in this moment. That's pretty cool. So it was a great night, and I woke up the next day just feeling so good. So we had another day. We went to the beach, chilled. It was great. And then Sunday, one of my friends was leaving, and the other one and I went to go see a movie together. We saw Dune, and we went to Santa Monica, and we brought a joint, and we fired it up on the way to the movie theater, and pretty much immediately I started catching myself, like, me and my friend were walking to the theater, and we both had our phones out, and I was writing something in my notes, and he was texting his girlfriend, and we just both had our phones, and we were both staring at them. And I realized these two guys, I saw them peripherally. We were walking by them, and they were looking at us. And immediately, I'm like, these guys probably think we're just like, typical millennials or Gen Zers or whatever they think we are. I just assumed that they saw us and thought critically of us, and wrote it down in my notes as I was going, because I was like, this doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's okay. Take it to the extreme, even if they hate us in that moment for being on our phones. It doesn't change anything until there's something that you can actually tangibly do. Because what am I gonna do in that moment? Hey, were you thinking talking shit about us in your head just now? Were you just thinking negatively about me? You better not have been. Is that the plan, brain? No logical person would ever do that. Without any reason to believe that that's what they're thinking, other than the fact that this is how I think I might perceive two people walking on their phones with their heads down like that. So it's almost like a projection of my own thought process onto this innocent individual who's standing on a street corner in Santa Monica. I think it was two guys. So it was just, sinking into the high mindset a little bit, overdrive. It can be sometimes. But it ended up just being a funny moment. The movie was at 8. We got there at 8. We went, and it was one of those theaters where they had the reclining chairs. And we went and reclined, and there were 40 minutes of commercials. I think the official movie commercial started playing around 8:15, but the movie started at 8:40. And we didn't realize this until the movie started, and the first scene, Adam Driver popped up on the screen, and my friend was like, oh shit, I've seen this movie before. And we realized we were in the wrong theater. So, and I was thinking about this. I was like, how long would it have taken me to realize that this was not Dune? It was some Adam Driver movie, I think with Scarlett Johansson or something. But fortunately, my friend had seen it and almost immediately realized, like, oh, we're in the wrong theater. But we were in the reclining seats, like right in the middle, and we were surrounded by people. And in that moment, I felt the same embarrassment that I felt at the gym, where it was like, oh my God, the movie just started and we're going to have to get up now and go and leave. And it's dark in the theater. No one can see us. But it's still just like this thought of how embarrassing this moment is going to be. Like I'm reacting as if we're already standing up and moving and getting out of the theater. My body's already getting a little bit fight or flighty just based on sheer embarrassment. And I'm very high. But it was funny to see that happen before we had even gotten up. But we thought about it for a moment, and we're like, all right, like, we have to leave. We can't just stay. We didn't come for this movie. My friend's already seen it. He's not going to sit through it again. So we got up and left the theater, and we're just cracking up, or not that theater, and we went and found the other one where Dune was playing and had a brief laugh attack. It was just like such a silly thing to think about. Like, oh my God, we just watched 40 minutes of commercials and just got up like, yeah, fuck this movie. So we went into the other movie theater, and Dune has been playing now at this point for who knows how long. And we found these two seats at the very back, and we sat down in them. And we were like, part of me was like relieved because none of the other people in the Dune audience can see that we're like coming in late. As if, like, who cares too, though, right? Because the people in the Adam Driver movie don't know who we are. How can we be worried about people who don't know who we are thinking things about us? Also, once again, without any confirmation that they're thinking things about us. It's crazy. But that's where my head was at. So we found these two seats at the back of the back of the Dune theater, and we sat down in them. And immediately we tried to recline and realized that they weren't reclining. So the only seats that recline are the ones that people paid for. So they activate them and then they can recline. And the reclining seats if you haven't seen a reclining seat movie, whole different experience, way more immersive, especially high. So we sat down in this new theater and we were immediately like, fuck, we have to move. And of course the seats that we got were like way more in front of all these people that we're going to see. So we started cracking up in the back of the theater because, we have to move. And literally part of me thought to myself, maybe we should just stay. Part of me debated about giving up the amazing comfort of a reclining movie theater seat to avoid the embarrassment of even more people who don't know us thinking that we are weird for coming in late to a movie. Feel free to not make everything about you and the world interpreting you in a certain way that's so bad. But I literally did think about it for a moment. And then, of course, we realized that was ridiculous. And then we got up and we were like, all right, let's do it. So we went, sat down, reclined, and oh my God, what a movie. It was so worth it. If you haven't seen Dune, highly recommend it. And since I put out the last episode, I think this will be the next episode. Those episodes were actually from a while ago, like 2.5 months ago or so. The Bunnies in the Universe episode and the ones before that were a little while ago. And I hadn't seen many, if any, bunnies since that episode came out. And a couple of people reached out to me since I put out that episode saying that they had bunny experiences subsequently after listening to that episode. And I was just so hyped to hear that. And people were talking about their own synchronicities and things like that. And so that had happened like just a couple of days before. So I kind of had, and I was talking to my friend who also listened to the podcast. Both of them actually did. And we were talking about, bunnies and things like that. And also, I forgot to mention this, but one of the commercials in the Adam Driver movie was for The Matrix. And if you remember from the last episode, The Matrix and the reference to Alice in Wonderland and the bunny in Alice in Wonderland in the Matrix movie trailer was part of what triggered this whole synchronicity realization in the last episode. So haven't seen a trailer for The Matrix since then, and it popped up on the Adam Driver movie. Interesting. And then in Dune, there was a bunny, and it wasn't that crazy, because it's like The Matrix is coming out soon. Bunnies exist in movies oftentimes, even if they're on alien planets, on dunes. But when we got home, so my friend and I were talking about bunnies on the way back, just because of the Matrix commercial and the bunny in Dune. Here is what happened. I'm going to put in the actual screen recording that I did. We get home from the movie. I open TikTok, and the first video that I see is of this guy that I follow called Ethan Gars, and he's this awesome video creator. I reached out to him like a number of months ago asking if he wanted to do some sort of a collab just because I love his stuff, and he said he'd be down, and we hadn't talked in a long time. He makes cool video edits, and this video that pops up is of him getting a white rabbit tattoo on his leg. TikTok can put any video in front of you at any time. And to have these white rabbit references starting to pop back into my reality from people who have listened to the podcast, to the Matrix trailer, to Dune. And just hold on a second. Okay, so that happens. I watch this video and I'm like, all right, what's going on here? Like, how is this guy, this dude that I admire, happens to be getting a white rabbit tattoo? And so he gets the tattoo on his leg, and then I go to his profile. He's got 22.2 thousand followers. Just another interesting coincidence. And I went and Googled, what is the meaning of white rabbit? And the first thing that popped up was a Quora question. And this guy, Pavel, said, the white rabbit is from Alice in Wonderland. The rabbit represents curiosity, the drive for discovery. To follow the white rabbit means to try something new, unknown, untested, and potentially dangerous. In The Matrix, Neo is told to follow the white rabbit, and immediately after that, he follows a girl with a white rabbit tattoo. He follows a girl with a white rabbit tattoo to a loud techno club where he meets Trinity, the mysterious hacker he was looking for. How? Okay, I'll pull it up on the screen because it's not showing up here. How is it that the first Google search that comes up just for white rabbit meaning happens to be the Matrix reference for the freaking movie that I saw a second ago? This was posted 7 years ago. This Quora answered 7 years ago. Also, just noticing this now, his name is Pavel, and then his last name starts with a D, comma, atheist. Interesting. But what are the odds of that? And then for that to be, him to follow a girl with a white rabbit tattoo. I've never seen a white rabbit tattoo before. Maybe I saw it in the first Matrix and I just am not remembering it now. But that was what the TikTok video was. These are unrelated, seemingly unrelated things that are all coming together. Like as soon as I put my attention on the white rabbit, it just started popping up in the most ridiculous ways. And in the context of like how I haven't seen rabbits in a month and a half, and then it's almost like the people that listen to the podcast like reminded me like, oh yeah, dude, don't forget, this is amazing what's happening here. It just was like this crazy sequence of events that culminated in this white rabbit tattoo in The Matrix. So anyway, I'm gonna go see The Matrix, needless to say, and I'm very excited to see if more meaning comes from that. But also for it to be like about The Matrix too, like of all movies. And you know, a lot of the things that we discuss on this podcast are related to that in terms of what reality really is and what your experience of reality is. And so it's just a lot of really exciting things happening. And just going with it makes it all seem so much easier. Just been having a terrific time out here. So, okay. What's up? This is a emergency continued recording. Not an emergency, but it just I just got off the phone with my dad, and I was talking to him about all of the bunnies, and I was telling him about The Matrix. The Matrix is his favorite movie of all time, and I was talking to him about how I saw Dune. He said Dune and The Matrix were his two favorites. And very interesting timing. I was telling him about all of these crazy synchronicities and seeing the white rabbit tattoo, and then the white rabbit tattoo on Quora. And my dad told me that when he and my mom met, they were both tour guides in China. And they were friends for about 4 months. And one night they linked up. He went over to her place, and it's customary in China to bring a gift for the person whose house you're going to. And he said that the gift that he got my mom were these candies called White Rabbits. And it sounds like they didn't like do anything that night, but it was the first time that they spent any like real significant time together alone. And that was the beginning of their relationship, what morphed into their relationship. I'll pop up a picture of the White Rabbit candies here. But I wouldn't be here without White Rabbits. So I'm not sure what's going on, but I love it. And I love to be able to share this with you. So wherever these rabbits may take us, I'm very grateful to be able to share it with you. So thank you for listening. And I'm trying to process this at the same time, but I just needed to record it because it was literally right after I finished recording this rabbit update. But like literally I wouldn't like Oh man, it was just so crazy. And I've never heard them talk about these white rabbits before, ever. And for it to now be culminating, I'm going to see my parents on Wednesday. I haven't seen them in like 6 months or something. I'm going home for the holidays. And now I'm finding out that their whole relationship started intertwined with white rabbits. Also, the girl who I was seeing who had that rabbit, she told me that the main cause of death for rabbits is fear. And in Dune, they reference fear as the mind killer. There's a lot of references about how you need to transcend fear and overcome it. And I that popped back into my head, and it just made me think about how that seems to be an overlapping theme of life right now, is letting go of fear, control, and just going with it. Going with the flow. So, on that note, I will see you guys later. Peace.